The city of Iolcos buzzed with hope and anticipation, its streets alive with the energy of a people who had waited far too long for a miracle. For years the city had lived under a shadow, its spirit dimmed by uncertainty and longing. But now, something extraordinary was about to unfold. For the first time in years, the people gathered at the harbor, their eyes fixed on the distant horizon, hearts pounding with a mixture of hope and disbelief. Whispers spread through the crowd. Could it truly be the Argo returning at last? The legendary ship, the Argo, appeared on the shimmering blue waters, its white sails billowing in the wind, a beacon of promise. As it drew closer, the city's anticipation grew into a fever pitch. The ship, once a symbol of impossible dreams, now returned as a vessel of triumph. Jason, the hero of myth and legend, stepped onto the shore, his presence commanding the attention of all. In his hands, he held the golden fleece aloft, a prize sought by gods and kings, a symbol of hope restored and destiny fulfilled. The fleece shimmered with a light that seemed not of this world, its golden threads catching the sunlight and casting dazzling reflections across the faces of the awestruck crowd. It was as if the gods themselves had blessed this moment, and the people could scarcely believe their eyes. Cheers erupted, echoing through the city's marble streets. Musicians struck up jubilant tunes on lyres and flutes, and dancers spun in celebration. The city rejoiced, swept up in a wave of euphoria as if a new era had dawned with Jason's return. Yet not all hearts were light. King Pelias, the ruler who had sent Jason on his perilous quest, watched from the palace steps, his face a mask of shock and unease. He had hoped never to see Jason again, but now he was forced to confront the hero's triumphant return and the consequences of his own actions. Beside Jason stood Medea, the enigmatic sorceress from distant Colchis. Her presence was as striking as the fleece itself, her eyes burning with secrets and power. She was no ordinary companion. Her reputation had traveled ahead of her, wrapped in mystery and fear. The townspeople whispered among themselves, casting wary glances at the woman whose magic had been crucial to Jason's victory. Few understood the true extent of her power, but all sensed that she was a force to be reckoned with, one who could shape the fate of Iolcos as surely as any king. Medea's love for Jason was fierce and mysterious, a force as wild and unpredictable as the sea itself. Their bond, forged in danger and adventure, was both a source of strength and a harbinger of future storms. The people celebrated their hero, lost in the joy of the moment, unaware that with Jason's return, a storm had come home as well. Shadows lingered at the edges of the festivities, hinting at troubles yet to come. The city felt whole again, its wounds seemingly healed by the return of the fleece. But beneath the surface, new secrets and dangers had arrived, hidden among the celebrations and the golden prize. As dusk settled over Iolcos and storm clouds gathered on the horizon, the stage was set for a fate that would change the city forever. The true cost of Jason's victory and Medea's power was yet to be revealed. Jason walked the streets of Iolcos, his heart heavy with longing. The city, once familiar, now felt strange and distant, its stone walls echoing with memories of a happier past. He yearned not for the throne or the glory that awaited him, but for the warmth of his family, the embrace of those he loved. Each step he took was filled with hope and dread, uncertain of what he would find. With Medea at his side, Jason hurried through winding alleys, his mind racing with anticipation. The journey had been long and perilous, but the thought of reunion had sustained him. Together they approached his parents' home, hearts pounding, eager to finally lay down their burdens and share tales of adventure and survival. But as they crossed the threshold, a chill swept over them. The house was empty, cold and silent, its hearth long extinguished, its rooms echoing with absence. Shadows clung to the walls, and the air was thick with sorrow. An elderly servant, eyes red with grief, emerged from the darkness. With trembling voice, she delivered the devastating news. King Pelias, consumed by fear of prophecy, had forced Jason's parents to end their own lives. The cost of Jason's quest was now painfully clear. The Golden Fleece, once a symbol of hope and triumph, now felt unbearably heavy in Jason's hands. Its gleam mocked his pain, and the victory he had fought so hard for seemed hollow and meaningless. Overcome by anguish, Jason collapsed on the cold stone steps, his cries drowned out by the distant sounds of celebration. The cheers of the city, once meant for him, now echoed cruelly, a reminder of all he had lost. Medea watched him, her own heart breaking for the man she loved, but as she witnessed his suffering, a new emotion took root within her, a burning rage, cold and sharp, directed at the one responsible for their pain. In that moment, Medea saw the true enemy, King Pelias. Her grief transformed into a fierce resolve. She vowed that he would answer for his cruelty, that justice would be served no matter the cost. Jason's victory was now a bitter memory, his homecoming forever tainted by loss. The hero who had braved monsters and storms returned only to find emptiness and sorrow. Medea's resolve hardened. She knew that justice would not come by sword alone, but by wit and cunning. She began to plot, her mind sharp with purpose, determined to bring down the man who had destroyed their happiness. In that moment of heartbreak, the seeds of vengeance were sown. Medea's mind raced with possibilities, each more daring than the last. The hero's journey was far from over. As Jason disappeared into the shadows, a darker chapter awaited, one shaped by loss, anger, and the promise of retribution. All the while, the city of Iolcos celebrated, blissfully unaware of the tragedy that had unfolded in their midst and of the storm that was about to break. Medea knew brute force wouldn't defeat Pelias. She sought power in the shadows, invoking Hecate, goddess of magic, in a moonlit grove. Medea prayed for wisdom to craft a vengeance that would destroy Pelias from within. Hecate answered, filling Medea with dark inspiration. Guided by the goddess, Medea gathered rare herbs and roots, each a key to her spell. Her knowledge, once used for healing, now served a darker purpose. She prepared a magic that would captivate and ruin her enemy. The stage was set for a revenge both subtle and devastating. Medea's true power was about to be unleashed. Medea returned, her basket brimming with mystical herbs. She built twin altars and began a ritual before Jason, chanting to Hecate and Hebe. Into a cauldron, she mixed her potent ingredients, stirring with a dead olive branch. Before Jason's eyes, the branch bloomed with fresh leaves and olives. A miracle. Then Medea brought forth Jason's frail father, Aeson. She performed her ritual, draining the old blood and pouring in her elixir. Aeson's youth returned in moments. Hair darkened, wrinkles vanished, strength restored. Jason was awestruck, his father reborn by Medea's magic. The miracle was real, and word of it would soon spread. Medea's power was undeniable, her motives hidden beneath the wonder. The trap for Pelias was now baited. News of Aeson's transformation swept through Iolcos. The people marveled and whispered in fear at Medea's godlike power. Pelias' daughters, desperate to save their aging father, clung to hope. If Medea could restore Aeson, could she not do the same for Pelias? Medea made herself visible, letting rumors of her magic grow. She spoke of her power as a divine blessing, not a curse. The princesses, blinded by love and hope, saw Medea as their salvation. They never questioned the cost. The snare was set, and the daughters walked willingly into it. In the dead of night, Pelias' daughters, hearts pounding with fear and hope, crept through the silent corridors of the palace. Desperation drove them to seek out Medea, the infamous sorceress whose powers were whispered about in every corner of the kingdom. They knew the risks of consorting with such a woman, but their love for their father outweighed their fear. Cloaked in secrecy, they gathered in the shadows, their voices trembling as they pleaded for help. With tears in their eyes, the princesses begged Medea to restore their father's lost youth and vigor. They offered her treasures, jewelry, coins, and promises of unwavering loyalty, anything to persuade her. Their devotion was clear, their hope fragile but burning bright. Medea, ever the master of manipulation, feigned reluctance. She warned them gravely of the dangers and complexities of the ritual, her voice heavy with false concern. She spoke of ancient magic, of risks that could not be undone, and of the price that must be paid for such a miracle. The daughters' pleas grew more frantic, their desperation mounting with every word. They swore they would do anything, no matter the cost, to save their beloved father from the grip of old age and death. At last, Medea appeared to relent. She offered a demonstration of her power, performing a ritual on an old feeble ram. Before the princess's astonished eyes, the creature was transformed, reborn as a young, vibrant lamb. Gasps of awe and disbelief filled the air. The princesses were utterly convinced. They had witnessed the impossible, and their doubts vanished. Medea's magic was real, and hope surged within them. Medea then explained that the ritual to restore their father's youth required the hands and hearts of those who loved him most. Only his daughters, she insisted, could complete the rite and ensure its success. Blinded by hope and trust, the daughters agreed without hesitation. They prepared themselves for the ritual, believing they were on the verge of a miracle. Medea's deception was flawless. Her trap was set. Unbeknownst to them, the final act of Medea's revenge was now in motion. The palace, once filled with hope, was now shrouded in a sense of impending doom. The princesses, hearts full of hope and relief, believed they were about to save their father and restore their family's happiness. But in truth, they were walking blindly toward tragedy, their love and trust twisted into the very instrument of their father's destruction. That night, the daughters of Pelias prepared the ritual, following Medea's instructions. They led their father to a chamber, promising him renewed youth. Trusting his children, Pelias submitted to their care. The princesses, believing in the magic, plunged knives into their father's body. They placed him in the cauldron, waiting for the miracle. But nothing happened. Only horror remained. The truth dawned. They had been tricked into murdering their own father. Their minds shattered with guilt and grief. Screaming, they fled into the night, lost to madness. Medea's revenge was complete, slow, intimate, and devastating. Jason's enemy was destroyed, but at a terrible cost. The kingdom was left in chaos and blood. The palace guards discovered the horror Pelias dead, his daughters vanished. News of the king's gruesome end spread terror through Iolkos. Jason's victory was tainted by dark magic and deception. The people recoiled from Medea's power and Jason's complicity. Knowing they could never rule, Jason and Medea prepared to flee. Medea summoned a chariot drawn by winged dragons, a sign of her otherworldly might. Together, they left Iolkos behind, the golden fleece and throne abandoned. They set course for Corinth, seeking a new beginning. But the shadows of their deeds would follow them. The tragedy of Iolkos was only the beginning of their legend. Iolkos was plunged into mourning, its celebrations silenced. The city had lost its king, princesses, and hero in a single night. Acastus, son of Pelias, returned to restore order. He organized a grand funeral for his father, seeking to cleanse the city's shame. Funeral games were held, drawing heroes from across Greece. The contests honored the dead and reminded the people of their resilience. For a moment, the city found solace in the spectacle of heroism, but the throne remained tainted by blood and betrayal. Jason and Medea's legacy was one of magic, revenge, and sorrow. The story of Iolkos ended not with triumph, but with a funeral and a warning for generations to come.